So what do you think made wrestling cool again? Was it Tony Khan AEW? Was it Triple H taking over WWE? Because I mean, I'm in the same boat too, where wrestling wasn't cool for a while, but I always grew up with it. Like one of the first matches I've seen was at SmackDown with Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Just doing something on Thursday or on a Friday, and that's kind of how I got into wrestling. But there was a period in time where everybody can agree that wrestling was not cool because if you're just watching WWE or maybe have cable and maybe you can watch TNA and you'll probably have to catch last week's Raw on a Spanish channel.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
So what do you think made wrestling cool again?
And to be honest, I want to say social media.
Yeah.
Social media did it because, like I said, there was a point. I don't want to say that wrestling wasn't cool because I feel like wrestling has always been cool, but I feel like since you have to be live at shows, you so the people that will like it and talk about it were the diehard fans who were through the years, through decades, continue to be fans, right? And talk and share about it and stuff like that, right? But now with social media and stuff like that, right? Now people share clips from Attitude Era or whatever.
Yeah.
Now we're like, oh, I remember when I used to watch it. This is cool. So then you find yourself, going.
Almost like tapping into that like nostalgia from when you were a kid and you used to watch your favorite matches and whatnot.
Yeah, it's literally that. It's honestly that, and I want to say because there's so many things that I remember I watched as a kid, but I forgot about, and then I see a clip, I was like, oh my god, and then I go back. So I think, and then when you see how many people have liked it and view it, and how many times it's been shared, then you're like, oh well, then I'm not the only one who likes this. It feels that way. So I feel like the community has grown more because of it, because now social media has helped, in my opinion, that because there's always a fan posting little clips and whatever, and then it helps the ones that fell out of love back into love because they remember how they felt, when they were kids and they were fans. Now they're like, I loved it. I remember I had so much fun. Now let me go back and see what's going on now. So I think that's what helps.
Since we're talking about nostalgia, what are like 2 or 3 matches that you've seen that stick with you to this day where you're like, or like even pay-per-views where it's like, okay, that's my favorite match, or these are one of my favorite pay-per-views ever?
Oh my goodness. Oh, so many, to be honest. It's like
Well,
so
we,
many.
we don't have to rank them or anything. You can just name the first 3 that come to your mind.
So I want to say Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio gotta be it was, I don't know, I feel like it was just mind blowing. The same like Rey Mysterio and Psychosis. Like I don't know. It's just like it was like a whole different world. And then one of the ones too, for some reason, not a lot of people talk about this, especially because of what this particular wrestler has said about working this particular person. But China and Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental Championship, because I was so fan of China and I feel like she couldn't do no wrong, and I thought it was cool that she was wrestling a guy. She could go. So to me, that's always like, I don't know. I always thought that was like so cool for some reason.
And since we're talking about intergender matches, I mean, I remember Lucha Underground used to do some crazy intergender matches too. So thinking about that, have you done any intergender matches, or is it where like you have a male tag team partner and then when you tag in, he has to tag in? When you tag him, the other dude has to tag in, or how did that work out for you?
I've done both. So I've done intergender as intergender tag matches, and then mixed tag matches. The mixed tag matches are the ones where, a guy wrestles the guy, and then the girl wrestles the girl, and then the intergender is where just about, anything goes, right? So I've done both. I've done them in tags. I've done them in singles too. In fact, I have one this Sunday. DFW Pro presents Equal Rights and Equal Lefts. It's a DFW X show, so There's no rules. Every match is a no DQ. So that's always a fun concept. And I haven't had one in a while. So I'm doing that in a singles match.
How do you prepare for an intergender match? Because I mean, obviously the guys are, they're gonna probably hit a lot harder than what you guys are used to hitting, and then everything has to go with a different, like the difference in like strength and whatnot.
I always see the way I approach this matches, right? It's girls are smarter.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. I just like I will find the how to get an advantage. Not necessarily sometimes just like in the ring, but like
Yeah.
find leverage. A lot of times, what helped me in those matches, I have a manager. His name is Nastico.
Oh yeah,
The
I
best
seen him.
manager. So this, like, me and him are always finding ways, always finding ways, so I can end up on top and end up with the leverage. So I always said it's more of a mental strength than it is a physical.
So okay, so with you having a manager, how did that come about? Because most people don't have managers, and I don't know, like, you got Paul Heyman, you got Paul Barrett, then, all these other managers that pop up and whatnot. But how has your manager played a role in your career and like your stage presence and whatnot? Because, I mean, yeah, you got the amazing, you got the ring gear to go with, your personality. And then at this point, that blue and white ring gear, that's kind of like your player one ring gear. So they
Yeah.
would put you in a video game. That'd be the ring gear they'd probably use. But going back to the manager, like, how did that come about?
So when I first started, I was a babyface. I was, the technical wrestler, follow the rules and did all that. It got me nowhere. It really didn't. So then Nastico was coming up as a manager as well. And then, it was one of those where it was just like there's leverage to having a manager. And not just necessarily in the ring, but Nastico is the definition of a manager. There's a lot of times that he handles my bookings, my presence. He's creating contact for not just myself, but all the people that he managed. So I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is great. And then I don't have to do as much as work in the ring. As long as I can me and him and I can find leverage, then it becomes greater. So that's kind of how it started. And I've been with him now. Oh my goodness, I want to say pre-pandemic or after pandemic. So maybe 2019. I don't know if it was pre-pandemic or after the pandemic. So, but he's been my manager for at least 5 years now.
So in these, wait, okay. You're saying he's your manager, but he's like your manager of, like, outside of wrestling as well.
Yes. That's what I said. He is the definition of an
Yeah.
actual manager. He's not just the person that comes out in the ring with me and helps me win. No, he handles a lot of bookings as well. Like I said, contact, like a lot of little jobs that that a manager should do. Like I said, there's times where he'd be like, "Hey, Lion, I'm trying to get you on this show. I talked to such and such." Or he's always hustling like that for his clients. Like, he's really, really great. He's always trying. He's like, "Hey, I've talked to this promoter or whatever. They're interested in bringing you in," because he has his own audience as well, just like we all
Yeah.
do. So there's a lot of those times where they're like, "Lion, because you're with me, they want you," or vice versa. Sometimes it's like, "Hey, Lion, we saw you got Nastico. Can you bring him with you?" So, and then he so takes pictures of me. He does social media content for me. Like, he does like a lot of those little jobs for me.
So for context, I'm assuming he used to wrestle as well, and
He did train a lot of people because we're from the same academy. So
Okay.
DFW Pro, that's I've trained in other places and stuff, but I feel like my
Yeah.
main home is still DFW Pro. So he's still a graduate from the program of DFW Pro. But so they train for 6 months as wrestlers before that he was able to become a manager. So he needed to do pro wrestling training for 6 months, and that goes for referees as well. So yeah, he did train as a wrestler first, and then transition into the manager.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that makes sense too because you gotta know the sport before you can actually be in the sport, even if you're not gonna be wrestling either. So okay, so he trained as a wrestler, and then said, you know what, maybe I just want to be a manager or what?
No, he always wanted to be a manager.
Oh,
But
okay.
in order, at least for our trainer to kind of give you that blessing to be a manager, you have to train
Oh,
as a wrestler for 6 months. So managers and referees, DFW Pro still got to train 6 months as wrestlers before their training begins as managers or as referees.
so that makes sense. So do you take him with you everywhere you go, or just around DFW?
I wish I could take him everywhere with me. I really do.
I think you would have won those matches in Mexico if he was there.
Yes, because if he was with me, I feel like I'll be at a different place. But like, he has like other clients to take care of. He got other shows. But if it was up to me, like, he will always be in my corner everywhere I went.
No, for sure. So I guess it was a little different preparing for CMLL a couple of weeks ago without him than it is for this show.